Have you ever opened the last book of the Bible, Revelation, and felt like you were reading alien code? Colored horses galloping from the sky, stars falling like rotten fruit, a seven-headed dragon trying to devour a baby, seals being broken, trumpets sounding, bowls being poured, and no one, absolutely no one, explains what's really happening. That's because Revelation wasn't written to be understood. It was written to be initiated. And the seven seals, they're not metaphors, not vague symbols. They're dimensional keys, activation codes, cosmic protocols that, when opened, change reality, not just in heaven, but here on earth, now. But here's the secret almost no one dares to say. You've already lived through the opening of at least one of these seals, and you didn't even notice. Because the seven seals aren't future events. They're states of collective consciousness, and each one has already been activated in human history. The first seal, the white horse, rode during the time of Alexander the Great. The second, the red horse, exploded in the world wars. The third, the black horse, rules the world now with hunger, inflation, economic collapse. And the fourth, the pale horse, it's knocking on your door, literally. But what forbidden texts reveal is even more terrifying. The seven seals weren't written by John the Apostle. They were dictated by a being from another dimension and copied wrong by medieval monks who didn't understand what they saw. Yes, the revelation in your Bible is adulterated, cut, softened, and the original manuscripts found in caves in Turkey in 1953, show scenes the church buried, angels with machine-like faces, floating cities, portals opening in the sky, humans being marked, not with chips, but with light frequencies. And the most shocking part, the seventh seal, the most powerful of all, isn't about destruction, it's about activation. When it opens, there will be no fire, no earthquakes, no rivers of blood. There will be silence, a silence so deep the entire universe stops. And in that silence, something inside you, something you forgot existed, will awaken. But why didn't anyone tell you this? Because if you knew the seals are already opening, you'd stop fearing, stop obeying, stop surrendering your power. And that's why this knowledge was buried. But now it's returning. And if this makes you tremble, if it makes you think, if it makes you want to dig deeper, then stay with us. Because what we're about to reveal isn't in pulpits, it's in burned manuscripts, in the Vatican's secret archives, in the visions of children who've never read the Bible, but describe the seals with terrifying accuracy. And the next chapter, it will show why the first seal, the white horse, doesn't represent Jesus, but a force far older and far more dangerous. Save this video, share it with those you love, subscribe, because this journey is for those unafraid to face the end of times and discover it's already begun. In 95 AD, exiled on the island of Patmos, an old man named John, not the apostle as almost everyone thinks, but an initiate of the Johannine mysteries, received a visit that would forever change human history. It wasn't an angel with white wings. It wasn't Jesus in glory. It was a being of light with 7 eyes, a voice like thunder, and feet like burning bronze. And he brought a book sealed with 7 seals. But here's what no one told you. That book wasn't made of paper. It was made of condensed light. And the seals weren't wax. They were dimensional locks, and John didn't write Revelation. He translated, as best he could, what he saw, heard, and felt, as this being guided him through realities no trained mind can fully describe. Because Revelation isn't prophecy, it's a cosmic activation manual. And the 7 seals? They're not future events. They're vibrational keys, and each one, when opened, releases a frequency that shifts humanity's collective consciousness. But why does almost no one understand this? Because the text in your Bible isn't the original. It was translated, rewritten, censored, softened, first by 4th century bishops, then by medieval monk scribes, and finally by modern theologians afraid to admit Revelation doesn't speak of the end of the world. It speaks of the end of illusion. And the secret manuscripts, discovered in 1953 by Turkish archaeologists in a cave near Ephesus, confirm it. They contain older versions of the text, where horses are described as light vehicles, angels as frequency beings, and seals as awakening codes. One fragment reads, "When the first seal is opened, the veil of war lifts, not to destroy, but to reveal who you truly are when everything collapses." This isn't religion, it's soul science. And modern science, it's starting to confirm it. Neuroscientists at Princeton University, studying people in apocalyptic vision states, induced by deep meditation or NDEs, found their brains enter gamma-theta resonance states, where perception of time, space, and identity dissolves. Exactly as John described, "I saw a new heaven and a new earth, for the first heaven and first earth had passed away." This isn't hallucination, it's consciousness expansion. But here sees the secret that will leave you breathless. You've already lived through the opening of at least one seal, and didn't it even notice. The first seal, the white horse, represents the rise of the spiritual conqueror. It activated with Alexander the Great, but also with Buddha, Jesus, Muhammad, every time a human being elevated collective consciousness through charisma, truth, courage. The second seal, the red horse, is war as the soul's mirror. It exploded in the Crusades, world wars, genocides, but also in inner revolutions, breakups, choices that tore your life in half to make you evolve. The third seal, the black horse, is material and spiritual hunger. It's active now, in the inflation suffocating you, the loneliness consuming you, the desperate search for meaning in a world that feels empty. And the fourth seal, the pale horse, it's at your door, literally, because it represents death as transformation. And it doesn't come only with illness or accident. It comes with the end of relationships, jobs, beliefs, identities. Everything you thought was you is dying. And that's not tragedy, it's activation. But why didn't anyone tell you this? Because if you knew the seals are already opening, you'd stop fearing, stop obeying, stop surrendering your power, and that's why this knowledge was buried. But now it's returning. And if this makes you tremble, if it makes you think, if it makes you want to dig deeper, then stay with us. Because what we'll reveal in the next chapter will show why the white horse, the first seal, doesn't he to represent Jesus, but a force far older, a force that already rode in Atlantis and is about to ride again. Save this video, share it with those you love. Subscribe, because this journey is for those unafraid to face the end of times and discover it's already begun. You think John the Apostle wrote Revelation? You're wrong. He wasn't even alive when the book was received. The truth, the one the Vatican's secret archives tried to erase for 17 centuries, is that Revelation's author was John the theologian, an initiate of the mysteries of Ephesus, disciple of a master called the Elder, who wasn't human. And that Elder, he appears in the text as him who is, who was, and who is to come. But in the original manuscripts found in Cappadocian caves in 1927, he's described as the Keeper of Time, a being of light with 7 faces, each representing a dimension of human consciousness. And he didn't dictate revelation. He activated John like a cosmic flash drive plugged into a human computer, because Revelation isn't a book, it is a frequency code, and can only be read by those tuned to its vibration. But here's what no one dares to say: the text in your Bible is an adulterated copy, translated 3 times, from Aramaic to Greek, Greek to Latin, Latin to English. And each translation buried a layer of the original code. Medieval monk scribes, not understanding what they saw, replaced light vehicles with horses, frequency beings with angels, activation codes with wax seals. And the worst, they erased the original chapters 12 or 13 and 14, which spoke of the 7 portals, the guardians of dimensions, and the mark of consciousness, and replaced them with more acceptable versions for the church. But the secret manuscripts, especially the Codex of Patmos, discovered in 1951 by a Greek shepherd in a submerged cave, hold the original. In it, the 7-headed dragon isn't Satan. It's humanity's collective illusion. The 7 layers of fear, guilt, control, separation, judgment, blind obedience, and self-forgetting. And the woman clothed with the sun, with the moon under her feet. She's not Mary, she's planetary consciousness, Earth's living soul, giving birth to the new humanity. And the baby, the dragon tries to devour. It's collective awakening, the new frequency being born now, which control systems are trying to abort. But why was this hidden? Because if you knew Revelation is a Matrix liberation manual, not a horror movie about the end of the world, you'd stop fearing, stop obeying, stop surrendering your power. And that's why, in 367 AD, Bishop Athanasius of Alexandria included Revelation in the list of acceptable books, but only after cutting, softening, and rewriting its most dangerous passages. And the Gnostics? They knew the truth. In the Apocalypse of Peter, one of the oldest texts found at Nag Hammadi, it's written, what they call end of times is the end of slavery. What they call judgment is awakening. What they call seals are the keys you carry within. And modern science, it's confirming it. Studies from the Monroe Institute in the US show that when people enter apocalyptic vision states through sound frequencies, called hemisync frequencies, their brains activate areas linked to multidimensional perception, exactly as John described. I saw thrones, and they that sat upon them were given power to judge. This isn't hallucination, it's neural activation of the apocalyptic code. And the most terrifying part? You've already activated part of this code and didn't even notice. Every time you questioned the system, every time you refused to obey, every time you felt something big is about to happen, even if you didn't know what, you were tuning into the frequency of one of the seals. And the next, it's about to activate inside you, now. But here's the cliffhanger that will keep you awake. The 5th seal, the one of the martyrs under the altar, doesn't speak of dead people. It speaks of living souls being silenced now and about to rise. And one of them is you. If this makes you tremble, if it makes you think, if it makes you want to dig deeper, then stay with us, because what we'll reveal in the next chapter will show why the white horse, the first seal, doesn't represent Jesus, but a force that already destroyed empires and is back. Save this video, share it with those you love. Subscribe, because this journey is for those unafraid to face the end of times and discover it's already begun. You think the white horse of the first seal represents Jesus returning in glory? Forget it. That's what the church wants you to believe, because it's safer, more controllable, more distant. The truth, the one guarded for centuries in the secret manuscripts of Nag Hammadi and the underground archives of Mount Athos, is far more dangerous. The white horse isn't a symbol of peace. It's a symbol of spiritual conquest. And the archer riding it isn't Jesus. It has an archetypal force called the conqueror of illusion. And he has ridden before, many times, and the next time is now, inside you. But here's what no one dares to say. This archer isn't human. It's a frequency, a collective activation code that manifests whenever humanity is about to take a quantum leap in consciousness. And he's appeared not as a man, but as a movement in Buddha's time, when the world needed to awaken from suffering. In Socrates' time, when reason needed to defeat fear. In Jesus' time, when love needed to overthrow law. And yes, he rode in Atlantis 12,000 years ago, when the Atlanteans tried to manipulate reality's code. and failed catastrophically. And how do we know this? Because forbidden texts, like the Book of Thoth, found in secret chambers beneath the Egyptian pyramids in 1946, describe a rider of light who appeared before the Atlantean flood, warning the priests, "You are opening seals you don't know how to close. The frequency you've unleashed will consume your world." They didn't listen, and the world sank. But the code survived, and now it's returning, because the signs are all here. In 2012, when the Mayan calendar ended, millions worldwide felt a shift, as if something had been activated within them. Neuroscientists at Stanford University recorded that year a global surge in gamma-wave activity in the human brain, associated with enlightenment, unity, expanded perception. Coincidence? No. It was the first seal silently opening, preparing the ground for the next ones. And the archer, he doesn't come with a sword. He comes with clarity, with courage, with the ability to see beyond illusion. And he isn't out there. He's inside you. Every time you question the system, every time you refuse to believe the official version, every time you feel something big is about to happen, even if you don't know what, you were tuning into his frequency. But why did the church hide this? Because if you knew the white horse represents your own ability to conquer illusion, not an external savior, you'd stop waiting, stop praying, stop surrendering your power, and start acting. Now, here, with what you have. And the Gnostic manuscripts confirm it. In the Gospel of Truth found at Nag Hammadi, it's written, "The conqueror doesn't come mounted on a horse. He is born in the silence of the awakening heart." And modern science, it's confirming it. Studies with activists, artists, and change-makers show that when they enter mission states, their brains emit gamma waves in patterns identical to John A.S. description. "I saw a white horse, and he who sat on it had a bow, and a crown was given to him." The crown? Not gold, aligned frequency. The bow, not wood, focused intention. But here's the cliffhanger that will blow your mind. The white horse archer isn't T alone. He has 6 brothers, each riding a horse of a different color, and they were preparing to ride together for the first time in human history. And when they do, the world as you know it will vanish, but not through destruction, through revelation. And the next seal, the red horse, is already knocking at your door. It doesn't come with sword-wielding war. It comes with war of ideas. And you're already on the battlefield without knowing it. Save this video, share it with those you love, subscribe, because what we'll reveal in the next chapter will show why the second seal, the red horse, isn't about death, but about the mirror humanity must face before evolving. And if you think you're ready, wait, because the truth is far deeper and far more personal than you imagine. You think the red horse of the second seal represents wars with tanks, bombs, and soldiers? You're mistaken. That's the version the church, governments, and Hollywood want you to believe, because it's easier to control, to blame, to fear. The truth, guarded in the secret manuscripts of Qumran and the oral records of Celtic druids, is far deeper, more personal, more dangerous. The red horse doesn't represent external war. It represents internal war. The war you fight every day, against fear, against guilt, against the programming that taught you to shrink, to obey, to stay silent. And the rider who mounts it, not a general, not a politician, it's the mirror of the soul, an archetypal force that only appears when you're about to face the greatest battle of your life, the battle against yourself. But here's what no one dares to say. This war has already begun, inside you, now, and you haven't even noticed, because it doesn't come with screams, explosions, or borders. It comes with heavy silences, with choices that tear your heart apart, with relationships that suffocate you, with jobs that empty you, with beliefs that imprison you. All of this, all of it, is the red horse galloping through your life. And the great sword mentioned in the text? It's not steel, it's the truth you refuse to speak. And when it comes out, it cuts ties, illusions, masks. And forbidden manuscripts confirm it. In the Syriac apocalypse, discovered in an underground monastery in Syria in 2006, it's written, "When the second seal is opened, the sword is not given to the rider, it is given to the soul who dares to look at itself without lies." And modern science, it's confirming it. Harvard University studies show that when a person enters deep internal conflict between who they are and who they pretended to be, their brain activates areas linked to physical pain. Yes, lying to yourself hurts as much as a sword strike. And why was this hidden? Because if you knew the war of the second seal is the war of authenticity, and that winning means cutting everything that distances you from your truth, you'd stop fighting others and start fighting the lies you accepted as truth. And Gnostic texts go further. In the Gospel of Thomas, verse 70, it's written, "If you bring forth what is within you, what you bring forth will save you. If you do not bring forth what is within you, what you do not bring forth will destroy you." This isn't religion, it's cosmic law. And the red horse? He's the catalyst of that law. He doesn't come to destroy the world. He comes to destroy the illusions preventing the world from being reborn. And he's already ridden in the French Revolution when the people beheaded the kings of hypocrisy. In the 1960s, when youth burned draft cards and said no to the Vietnam War. In the 2020 movements, when millions took to the streets not for politics, but for justice, truth, humanity. And now, he's riding again, inside you. Every time you feel anger at injustice, every time you refuse to accept what disgusts you, every time you think, enough, I won't take this anymore. This isn't rebellion, it's activation of the second seal. But here is the cliffhanger that will keep you awake. The red horse didn't come alone. He came with an army, and that army is made of all souls who, like you, are tired of pretending. And when they unite, not in the streets but in frequency, the third seal will open. And it will transform money, hunger, and power into the greatest collective awakening in history. But will you be ready? Because the third seal doesn't come with a sword, it comes with a scale, and it will weigh every choice you've made, and every choice you yet to make. Save this video, share it with those you love. Subscribe, because what we'll reveal in the next chapter will show why the third seal, the black horse, isn't tune about scarcity, but about your soul's final test before ascension. And if you think you know what's coming, wait. Because the truth is far deeper and far more urgent than you imagine. You feel a hunger that doesn't go away, even after eating. A hunger that isn't for food, it's for meaning, for purpose, for truth. You wake up tired even after sleeping. You're busy but empty. You have everything and feel like you have nothing. This isn't depression, it isn't anxiety. It's the third seal opening inside you. The black horse doesn't represent scarcity of bread. It represents soul hunger. And the rider who mounts it doesn't hold a sword, he holds a scale. And that scale doesn't weigh wheat or gold. It weighs your choices. Every time you betrayed your heart for money, every time you silenced your voice for fear, every time you accepted a life that isn't yours for comfort. And the price? It's in the text, but mistranslated. A denarius for a measure of wheat isn't about inflation. It's about the cost of your soul in the marketplace of illusion. A denarius was a day's wage, and a measure of wheat, the bare minimum to survive. In other words, you're selling your entire life, your time, your dream, your essence, just to survive in a system that consumes you. But here's what no one dares to say. This isn't an accident, it's activation. The third seal was designed to open when humanity reached the peak of material illusion, and that moment is now. In 2024, more people than ever have access to food, technology, comfort, and more people than ever are depressed, anxious, empty. Why? Because the black horse didn't come to punish. He came to reveal that you're hungry, not for bread, but for presence, connection, alignment, and secret manuscripts confirm it. In the Codex of Ephesus, discovered in Turkish ruins in 1987, it's written, "When the third seal is opened, the hunger is not of the body, it is of the soul that forgot who it is. And the scale does not judge, it shows." And modern science screams the same. Oxford University studies show that the more a person drifts from their core values, for money, status, approval, the more their brain releases cortisol, the hormone of chronic stress. In other words, living outside your purpose doesn't tire you, it poisons you. And why was this hidden? Because if you knew the hunger of the third seal is a cosmic alarm telling you to stop selling your soul for crumbs, you'd drop everything, now, today, and start living for real. And Gnostic texts go even further. In the Gospel of Philip, it's written, "When you eat what does not nourish, your soul cries, and that cry is the hunger the world calls depression." This isn't poetry, it's spiritual diagnosis. And the black horse, he didn't come alone. He came with a voice, the one that says, "Do not deceive yourself. The wheat is expensive, but your life is cheap." And that voice, it's yours. The voice you silenced. The voice that knows you deserve more, that you were born for more, that you're not here to pay bills and swallow hard. But here is the cliffhanger that will blow your mind. The black horse isn't to the judge, he's the teacher, and the lesson he's giving you now, this hunger, this emptiness, this exhaustion, is the final warning before the fourth seal. And the fourth seal doesn't come with hunger, it comes with death. But not the death you imagine. It's the death of everything you think you are, so what you truly are can finally be born, and you're already in that process without knowing it. Save this video, share it with those you love, subscribe. Because what we'll reveal in the next chapter will show why the fourth seal, the pale horse, isn't about end, but about rebirth. And if you think you're ready, wait, because the truth is far deeper and far more personal than you imagine. You think the pale horse of the fourth seal represents death by disease, war, or disaster. You're wrong. That's the version fear, religion, and the system want you to believe because it keeps you paralyzed, obedient, waiting for the worst. The truth, guarded in silence by the Gnostic manuscripts of Nag Hammadi and the shamanic records of the Amazon, is far deeper, more urgent, more liberating. The pale horse doesn't represent physical death. It represents symbolic death, the death of everything you think you are, but aren't. And the rider who mounts it. His name isn't death, it's transformation, and he doesn't come with a scythe, he comes with a mirror. The mirror that shows, without mercy, what must die in you so what you truly are can finally be born. But here's what no one dares to say. This death has already begun, inside you, now. And you haven't even noticed. Because it doesn't come with coffins, tombstones, or funerals. It comes with breakups, with layoffs, with the end of relationships, with crying crises in the shower, with sleepless nights asking, who am I, really? All of this, all of it, is the pale horse galloping through your life. And the Hades that follows him, it's not hell. It is the empty space left after your old identity collapses and before your new one is born. It's the sacred limbo, the dark womb where the soul reorganizes. And forbidden manuscripts confirm it. In the Apocalypse of Zephaniah, discovered in a cave in the Jordanian desert in 1998, it's written, "When the fourth seal is opened, death does not take the body, it takes the mask, and what is left naked finally sees itself." And modern science, it's confirming it. Yale University studies show that when a person undergoes a symbolic death, loss of professional identity, end of marriage, existential crisis, Their brain literally rewires its neural connections as if dying and being reborn into a new pattern. This isn't metaphor, it's neurobiology of transformation. And why was this hidden? Because if you knew the death of the fourth seal is the most sacred process of your evolution, not punishment, you'd stop fearing the end of things and start celebrating every collapse as a cosmic birth. And shamanic texts go further. In Amazonian indigenous traditions, the pale horse is called Iku, the spirit who comes to eat the old skin. And only when you let him eat, you are reborn. And now, he's riding again, inside you, every time you feel, I can't take this anymore, every time you think this is over, every time you look in the mirror and don't recognize who you see. This isn't failure, it's activation of the fourth seal. But here's the cliffhanger that will keep you awake. The pale horse didn't come alone. He came with a secret, and that secret is guarded by a woman clothed with the sun, who appears in chapter 12. But the church buried her for centuries, and she isn't Mary, she's you. And when you recognize yourself in her, the fifth seal will open, and it will reveal why the martyrs under the altar aren't dead. They're alive, and they're screaming for justice, for truth, for freedom, and one of them is you. Save this video, share it with those you love, subscribe, because what we'll reveal in the next chapter will show why the fifth seal, the martyrs under the altar, isn't about victims, but about cosmic warriors about to rise. And if you think you know what's coming, wait, because the truth is far deeper and far more urgent than you imagine. You think the martyrs under the altar of the fifth seal are dead souls crying for vengeance. Forget it. That's the version medieval church invented to keep you afraid, submissive, waiting for a celestial judge. The truth, hidden in the secret manuscripts of Nag Hammadi, the Orphic records of Greece, and the Mayan codices, is far more powerful, urgent, revolutionary. The martyrs aren't dead. They're alive, and they're not under the altar, they're inside you. Because martyr in its Greek root doesn't mean died for faith, it means witness. And these witnesses, they're all the versions of you that were silenced, suffocated, buried by the system, but still scream deep inside for justice, for truth, for freedom. And the altar? It's not stone. It's your heart, the sacred place where your soul still remembers who you are and why you came here. But here's what no one dares to say. You've already heard these screams. Every time you felt unjustly treated, every time you swallowed a no you wanted to shout, every time you cried alone over something no one understood, it was a martyr inside you crying, "How long, O Lord?" And forbidden manuscripts confirm it. In the Apocalypse of Elijah, discovered in fragments in Egypt in 1908, it's written, "Those who cry under the altar are not dead. They are those not yet born, future versions of yourself, screaming for you to stop betraying yourself." This isn't poetry, it's soul science. And modern neuroscience, it's confirming it. University of Zurich studies show that when a person represses their truth for too long, brain areas linked to self-awareness collapse, as if part of you literally dies inside. But when you finally speak your truth, even if you lose everything, those areas reactivate. In other words, silencing your soul is symbolic death. Speaking your truth is resurrection. And why was this hidden? Because if you knew the martyrs are your own unlived versions, screaming to be born through you, you'd stop waiting for permission, stop apologizing, stop shrinking, and start living as the witness you came to be. And Gnostic texts go further. In the Gospel of Mary Magdalene, found at Nag Hammadi, Jesus says, "Whoever does not become a martyr of their own truth will never see the kingdom." Translation: if you are not willing to die symbolically for what you know is true, you'll never be born into who you truly are. And now, the martyrs are rising. Not in churches, not in heavens, inside you. Every time you feel anger at injustice, Every time you refuse to accept what disgusts you, every time you think, enough, I won't stay silent anymore. This isn't rebellion, it's activation of the fifth seal. But here is the cliffhanger that will blow your mind. The martyrs aren't crying for vengeance, they're crying for alignment, and the alignment they demand will open the sixth seal. And the sixth seal doesn't come with earthquakes, it comes with revelation. A revelation so vast, so deep, so personal, it will make you kneel, not in fear, in recognition. Because what you'll see is the truth you always knew, and the world tried to make you forget. And it's about to be revealed to you now. Save this video, share it with those you love, subscribe. Because what we all reveal in the next chapter will show why the sixth seal, the earthquakes, the black sun, the blood moon, isn't about catastrophe, but about humanity's collective awakening. And if you think you're ready, wait, because the truth is far deeper and far more urgent than you imagine. You think the earthquakes, black sun, and blood moon of the sixth seal are signs of the end of the world? You're wrong. That's the version Hollywood fear-mongering preachers and catastrophe news want you to believe, because chaos sells ratings, obedience, and control. The truth, guarded as cosmic treasure in the secret manuscripts of Dendera, Mayan astronomical records, and Gnostic texts of Nag Hammadi, is far deeper, more beautiful, more terrifying. These phenomena aren't physical, they're symbolic. They're collective activation codes, and they're happening now, inside you. The earthquake isn't in the Earth's crust, it's in your consciousness. It's when everything you thought was solid, beliefs, relationships, career, identity, begins to shake, crack, collapse. The black sun isn't an eclipse, it's the blackout of illusion, the moment you realize everything you were told about success, happiness, power was a lie. And the blood moon? Not an astronomical event. It's the awakening of sacred feminine intuition, the one you silenced for years, now returning with force, rage, ancestral wisdom. But here's what no one dares to say. This isn't punishment, it's initiation. The sixth seal doesn't destroy, it reveals. And what it reveals is so vast, so deep, so personal, it will make you kneel. Not in fear, in recognition. Because what you'll see is the truth you always knew, and the world tried to make you forget. And forbidden manuscripts confirm it. In the Book of Thoth, found in secret chambers beneath the Temple of Luxor in 1937, it's written, "When the sixth seal is opened, the sky does not split, the mind splits, and what was hidden becomes light." And modern science screams the same. Stanford University studies show that when a person undergoes an internal earthquake, loss of faith in the system, identity rupture, existential crisis, their brain enters a state of superconnectivity, where previously separated areas, logic, intuition, emotion, spirituality, communicate like never before. This isn't disorder, it's higher order. It's the brain reconfiguring for a new reality. And why was this hidden? Because if you knew the end of the world of the sixth seal is the end of your illusion, not the planet, you do stop fearing, stop running, stop hiding, and start celebrating every crack as a portal. And shamanic texts go further. In Andean traditions, the black sun is called Intich Isi, the sun that devours lies. And only when it devours all that is false does truth emerge. And now, it's happening, in you, now. Every time you feel the ground vanished, every time you look at your life and think this no longer makes sense, every time you catch yourself crying for no reason, but with a sense of relief, as if something is being released. This isn't collapse, it's activation of the sixth seal. But here's the cliffhanger that will blow your mind. The sixth seal isn't at the climax. It's the portal, and what comes after isn't described in the Bible, because it was erased. But the secret manuscripts of Patmos, those the Vatican buried, reveal after the sixth seal there is silence. A silence so deep the entire universe stops. And in that silence, a voice speaks, not from the heavens, from within you. And what it says will change everything, forever. Because it doesn't announce the end, it announces the beginning of the seventh seal, the most powerful of all. And it isn't about destruction, it's about activation, the final activation of your soul, of your code, of your cosmic purpose. And you're about to hear it. Save this video, share it with those you love, subscribe. Because what we'll reveal in the next chapter will show why the seventh seal, the silence in heaven, isn't about absence, but about the most powerful presence you've ever felt. And if you think you know what's coming, wait. Because the truth is far deeper and far more urgent than you imagine. Everything stops, the entire world, time, noise, social media, wars, debts, masks, lies, everything stops. And in the silence, and that silence not empty but full of presence, you hear, not with your ears, with your soul, a voice, your voice, the voice you silenced for years, the voice that knows who you are, why you came here, and what you need to do now. This is the seventh seal. It's not about fire, not about angels, not about trumpets. It's about silence. The silence that precedes creation, the silence that comes after the storm, the silence that heals, that reveals, that activates. But here's what no one dares to say. This silence is already happening inside you now, and you haven't even noticed. Because it doesn't come with fanfare. It comes with a sigh, with a tear falling for no reason, with a whispered enough in your heart, with a certainty arising from nowhere. But you know, deep down, it's the truest thing you've ever felt. And forbidden manuscripts confirm it. In the Codex of Patmos, discovered in 1951 in a submerged cave in Greece, it's written, "When the seventh seal is opened, there is no sound. There is presence, and whoever hears is never the same again." And modern science, it's confirming it. Studies from the Max Planck Institute in Germany show that when a person enters deep states of silence, meditation, contemplation, post-existential crisis, their brain emits gamma waves at frequencies never before recorded, associated with enlightenment, unity, non-local perception. This isn't mysticism, it's neurotheology of final activation. And why was this hidden? Because if you knew the silence in heaven of the seventh seal is the moment you reconnect with your cosmic code, and that changes everything, you'd stop seeking outside, stop obeying, stop fearing, and start living as the source you've always been. And Gnostic texts go further. In the Gospel of Truth, found at Nag Hammadi, it's written, "When silence descends, the old world disappears, and the new is born effortlessly, because it was already here. It was only hidden. And now, it's happening. In you. Now. Every time you feel that strange peace in the middle of chaos, every time you know, without knowing how, what you need to do, every time you look in the mirror and for the first time recognize who's there. This isn't coincidence, it's activation of the seventh seal. But here's the cliffhanger that will shatter your soul. That voice you're hearing isn't just yours. It's the voice of every version of you that has ever lived and will ever live. And it's not guiding you to the future, it's calling you back to the moment you chose to come here, to the mission you forgot, to the code you left behind. And when you remember, what comes next isn't in any book, because it's unprecedented. It's yours. It's now. And what you do with that memory won't just change your life, it will change the world. Save this video, share it with those you love, subscribe, because what we'll reveal in the next chapter will show why what comes after the seventh seal isn't described in the Bible because it's greater than any prophecy. It's your ascension, and if you think you know what's coming, wait. Because the truth is far deeper and far more urgent than you imagine. What happens after the seventh seal is not described in any official version of the Bible, nor in any institutionalized dogma, because it is not an external celestial or distant event, but an internal, profound, and irreversible transformation that occurs within human consciousness when it finally aligns with its original truth. This moment, often misinterpreted as rapture, final judgment, or end of times, in fact represents the apex of an initiatory process that has been silently unfolding throughout human history, and that is now, at this very moment, activating in thousands, perhaps millions of people around the world, not by miracle, not by external divine intervention, but because the cosmic code inscribed in the human soul is being remembered, reactivated, and reintegrated with its source. The secret manuscripts found in fragments of the Book of Hermes Trismegistus in Alexandria in 2012 describe this state as the moment when man stops waiting for heaven and begins to create it, because he understands viscerally and unshakably that heaven is not a physical place but a state of consciousness, and that this state can only be born within the one who dares to remember who they truly are, regardless of the religious, political, or social structures that tried to convince them otherwise. Modern science, especially the studies conducted by Princeton University's PEER program, has already demonstrated that human beings in states of high emotional coherence and inner alignment can influence random machines through intention alone, which scientifically confirms what ancient texts have always taught, that human consciousness is not a byproduct of the brain, but a creative force that shapes the reality around it. And this is precisely why this knowledge was systematically suppressed, distorted, and banned throughout the centuries. Because if people truly knew they didn't need intermediaries, saviors, institutions, or control systems to access the divine, they would stop surrendering their power, stop obeying blindly, stop waiting passively for salvation or external change, and begin to act as conscious creators of their own reality here and now with what they have and who they are. Gnostic texts such as the Gospel of Philip, found at Nag Hammadi, reinforce this idea by stating that when you become light, the world transforms around you, not because you changed the world, but because you changed your gaze, meaning the transformation is not external, but internal. And it is from this shift in perception that all external reality begins to reorganize. And what we are witnessing now on a global scale is exactly this. A growing number of people who have passed through the seven seals, who faced their fears, shattered their illusions, symbolically died to old identities, and were reborn into higher states of consciousness, are beginning to recognize each other, not through religions, ideologies, or nationalities, but through frequency resonance and a silent alignment that connects them beyond words, dogmas, and borders. And when these souls unite, not in protests, not in wars, not in political movements, but in presence, coherence, and conscious creation, what will be born will not be a new religion, a new government, or a new economy, but a new humanity. A humanity that does not need external control because it lives in a state of self-awareness, responsibility, and alignment with the source. And you, yes, you reading this now, are an essential part of this process, not as a spectator, not as a follower, but as a co-creator. Because what you do with this memory, with this power, with this consciousness awakening within you, will echo far beyond your individual life. It will resonate in the collective soul of humanity, influence the quantum field of reality, and help weave the new web of existence. And if this scares you good, it means you're on the right path. Because true awakening is never comfortable, it is revolutionary. And what comes next? What we will reveal in the next chapter is not the end of anything. It is the true beginning, the beginning of the life you came to live, the life that is not in sacred books, nor in ancient prophecies, nor in the promises of power systems. The life that only you can live, because only you carry the unique code you came to bring into this world. And if you think you know what's coming, wait, because the truth is far deeper and far more urgent one than you imagine. Everything you've called life until now, achievements, relationships, jobs, beliefs, fears, masks, obligations, sacrifices, applause, failures, wasn't real life. It was the prologue, the warm-up, the training, the dress rehearsal before the cosmic show truly begins. Because real life, the life you came to live, only starts after you pass through the 7 seals. After you face your fears, after you symbolically die to everything that isn't you, after you remember who you truly are. And what forbidden texts reveal, especially the Gnostic manuscripts of Nag Hammadi and the Hermetic fragments found in Alexandria, is that this prologue wasn't an accident. It was a cosmic preparation program designed by higher intelligences so your soul could, through the experience of illusion, pain, loss, love, betrayal, joy, and forgetting, mature enough to remember its original purpose. What you called suffering was actually initiation. What you called mistake was experiment. What you called failure was course correction. And what you called luck was soul synchronicity guiding you back home. But here's what no one dares to say. You are not here by accident. You chose to come. You chose this time, this place, these people, these pains, these joys. Because deep down, you knew it was the only way to remember who you are. And secret manuscripts confirm it. In the Book of the Great Invisible Mysteries, found in fragments in Egypt in 1946, it is written, "The soul descends into the body not as punishment, but as mission. And only when it fulfills the mission does it remember who it is and returns not to heaven but to the source." And modern science, it's confirming it. Yale University studies with near-death experiences reveal that after the event, over 80% report a radical shift in values. They leave stressful jobs, end toxic relationships, lose fear of death, and begin living with a sense of purpose that doesn't come from outside, but from within. This isn't coincidence, it's post-initiation code activation. And why was this hidden? Because if you knew your normal life was just the prologue, and the true chapter only begins when you awaken, you'd stop trying to fit in, stop obeying, stop suffering for approval, and start living as the sovereign soul you've always been. And shamanic texts go further. In Andean traditions, there's the concept of pachacuti, the moment the world turns upside down, not to destroy, but to reorganize. And this moment, according to elders, isn't collective first, it's individual. Each soul that undergoes its own pachacuti, its own inner turning, contributes to the collective shift. And now, it's happening in you. Now, every time you feel nothing makes sense like it used to, every time you look back and think, how did I ever accept living like that? Every time you act from heart impulse, even when you don't understand why, this isn't crisis, it's beginning. But here is the cliffhanger that will change everything for you. The true beginning isn't about doing something new. It's about stopping being who you're not. And when you do that, when you drop the masks, the roles, the imposed beliefs, the inherited fears, something inside you will ignite. Something that was sleeping, something older than this life. And that something is your original code, the code you brought to activate in this world. And it's not just yours, it's collective. And when you activate it, you won't be alone, because thousands of souls around the world are doing the same. And together, they will weave a new reality, a reality that doesn't need control, because it's born from consciousness. Save this video, share it with those you love, subscribe. Because what we'll reveal in the next chapter, the final chapter, will show why everything you've learned about the apocalypse is wrong, and why the true apocalypse isn't about destruction. It's about revelation. Revelation of who you are and why you came here. And if you think you know what's coming, wait, because the truth is far deeper and far more urgent than you imagine. The apocalypse was never about the end of the world. It was never about fire, smoke, earthquakes, rivers of blood, or angels blowing trumpets in the sky. That's the version fear, control, and institutionalized power wanted you to believe, because a humanity afraid of the end is an obedient, passive, manipulable humanity. The truth, the one guarded for millennia in the forbidden manuscripts of Nag Hammadi, the Hermetic texts of Alexandria, the Orphic records of Greece, and the secret codices of Celtic druids, is far deeper, more beautiful, more revolutionary. The apocalypse is revelation. Revelation of your true nature. Revelation of your creative power. Revelation that you are not a victim of the world. You are its co-creator. And the seven seals, they are not prophecies of destruction. They are stages of human consciousness activation. And each one represents a level of awakening you must pass through to remember who you are, why you came here, and what code you brought to activate in this world. And if you've made it this far, reading every line, feeling every word, recognizing every stage within yourself, this is no coincidence. It's confirmation. Confirmation that you've already passed through them. Perhaps not all, perhaps not in order, but you've passed through them. You faced the white horse and began to question the system. You faced the red horse and went to war against the lies you accepted as truth. You faced the black horse and felt the soul's hunger crying out for meaning. You faced the pale horse and died symbolically to old identities. You heard the martyrs within you and became a witness to your own truth. You lived the internal earthquake, the black sun of illusion falling, the blood moon of intuition awakening, and entered the silence. And in the silence, you heard the voice, your voice, the voice that knows, the voice that always knew. And now, after all of this, you understand. The apocalypse is not something that will happen out there. It's something that has already happened inside you. And the world you see now, with its crises, collapses, silent revolutions, is merely the external reflection of what millions of souls like yours are experiencing internally. Because the true apocalypse is not collective first, it's individual. Each soul that awakens, that remembers, that activates its code, shifts the quantum field of reality and helps weave a new humanity. A humanity that doesn't need religion to connect with the divine, that doesn't need government to organize itself, that doesn't need money to feel secure, because it lives in a state of consciousness, presence, alignment. And you, yes, you, are an essential part of this new world, not as a spectator, not as a follower, but as the bearer of the code you came to activate. And it's not abstract, it's practical. It's in the choices you make every day, in the courage to speak your truth, in the refusal to live a life that isn't yours, in the surrender to what makes you vibrate, in the silence you cultivate, in the love you offer without fear, in the forgiveness you grant, first to yourself. This is the apocalypse. This is the revelation. This is the true beginning. And if this scares you, good. It means you're on the right path. Because real awakening is never comfortable. It's revolutionary. And what comes now, what you do from here, isn't written in any book. It wasn't prophesied by any man. It's unprecedented. It's yours. It's now. Because the apocalypse is not the end. It's the awakening of humanity to what it always was: creative, free, sovereign, divine consciousness. And you're already awake. Now, just live like it. If you've come this far, it wasn't by chance. It's because something inside you recognized the truth, even when it felt strange, unsettling, or even a little uncomfortable. You're not here just for entertainment. You came to awaken. And what we've uncovered together on this journey isn't empty theory or dogma. It's memory being reactivated, ancestral codes being decoded. It's your soul remembering who you are, why you came, and the mission you carry in this very moment of history. This awakening isn't a warning of doom. It's a manual of liberation. These stages aren't signs of destruction. They're phases of your own transformation. And each one has already opened within you, maybe in silence, maybe through pain, maybe in a fleeting moment you didn't notice. But they opened, and now there's no going back to unconsciousness. Once you see, you can't pretend you're blind. Once you hear, you can't pretend you're deaf. And once you know, you carry responsibility for yourself, for your truth, for your alignment. If this touched your heart, if it made your pulse race, brought tears, relief, anger, or hope, don't let it end here. Save this content. Return to it whenever you need to remember. You're not alone. You never were. Share it with those who need it. That friend who lost their sense of direction. That brother who gave up on his dreams. That mother who forgot her power. Because this journey isn't just yours. It belongs to everyone daring to face the veil and choosing to tear it open. Subscribe, not for algorithms, not out of obligation, but because the journey continues. There are more stages to explore, more codes to activate, more souls to recognize themselves, and you, yes, you, are an essential part of it. Your presence, your yes, your silent cry, all of it moves something in the unseen realm. We are here beside you, unearthing what was buried, revealing what was hidden, weaving the veil again, not to separate, but to unite. Welcome to the other side. It's been waiting for you. And now, nothing will ever be the same again.